Good morning. I'm Peter Frosch, President and CEO of Greater MSP. Welcome to this meeting of the Greater MSP Partnership. Everyone invited today is an active part of this partnership. Together, we are one team taking bold action to build a bright future for our region. Today is about celebrating what we accomplished as Greater MSP in 2021 and the big things that we're taking on in 2022. And by we, I mean each and every one of you and your organizations. You are Greater MSP. I'm privileged to be joined by three great leaders and friends who will co-host today's program with me. Tim Welsh of US Bank, our Greater MSP Board Chair, Deshawn Drew, President of NPR and a member of the Make It MSP Leadership Council, and Tanya Allen, President of the McKnight Foundation and one of Greater MSP's newest board members. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Great to be here.
Thanks to each of you for sharing your time today and for the incredible leadership that you provide to Greater MSP and this region.
I'm excited to be here today to help tell the story of how the Greater MSP Partnership is making a huge difference in our region through its unique ability to engage leaders across multiple sectors. Together, we not only identify and capture some of our region's greatest opportunities, we take on some of its biggest challenges, including those that limit economic opportunities for too many of us. I think one of the most remarkable things is that Greater MSP is not only about me or you or them, it's about we and the sum total of what we can do together. Today, we've got some inspiring real-life success stories from the past year to share with you. These stories demonstrate how we are reimagining how we can work differently to ensure we have inclusive economic growth in our region.
To me, the Greater MSP Partnership is about people. People like our region's leaders who come together to tackle top social, environmental, and economic priorities. People who are partners to make our innovative initiatives a reality. People who choose to invest in our region or to relocate here for career opportunities and a chance to make a difference. Having moved here recently, I've been inspired by the commitment and energy I've found here. All of this is possible because Greater MSP is about the collective we. That lets us achieve far more together than we could alone.
I'm proud to say I was in the room more than 10 years ago when the idea for Greater MSP was born. With a decade of achievements behind us, there's no question that the Greater MSP Partnership model works. Together, we've created an effective template that connects the right leaders and the right tools to support bold actions that strengthen our region's competitiveness and, importantly, drives inclusive economic growth. As you'll see today, as a partnership, we're developing solutions for some of the greatest challenges of the 21st century by taking bold actions for a brighter future. I'm privileged to be part of the we that is Greater MSP.
We designed today's session to be part meeting, part event, because there's much to share and there's a lot to celebrate. As a leader in Greater MSP, you'll hear information that will help you be effective in the work you're doing in the Greater MSP Partnership. We hope this will help you see how you are connected to hundreds of other leaders who care about this place just as much as you do. Today, we want to do three things. First, inform you about how Greater MSP's scope and capabilities have grown. Second, celebrate what we've accomplished together over the past year. And finally, inspire you about the work ahead in 2022. This enterprise runs on your energy and insights, so please take an active part. Comment in the chat, respond to questions, and share your ideas. Following today's session, you'll receive additional content via email offering materials that go deeper into projects and initiatives that we'll cover. Each of us plays a unique position on Team Greater MSP. Some of you see the big picture of mission and strategy as members of the board. Hundreds of others make invaluable contributions to the success of specific initiatives in ways that bring that mission and strategy to life. Together, our efforts increase the competitiveness of our region and advance inclusive economic growth. Let's take a look and see how.
A decade ago, a forward-looking group of our region's leaders united behind a bold vision. They believed that by combining the unique strengths of our business, academic, philanthropic, and government sectors behind a common mission, we could build a brighter future for our 15-county region. That the power of partnership would make us greater together. 10 years later, the promise that was Greater MSP has been realized. Here in 2022, Greater MSP is a working partnership of more than 4,500 individuals from over 350 organizations. With investment from 120 companies, cities, counties, foundations, and universities, we're driving inclusive economic growth with more than 100 different projects at once. We're doing more together than ever and going beyond what we believed possible. Today, Greater MSP is the hub of regional action it was envisioned to become. Our work is organized around 8 platforms, each led and driven by teams of amazing regional leaders. Here's a look at how we're driving progress toward our region's ambitious goals. Business investment is one of Greater MSP's original roles. The partnership helps employers expand their operations and attract new companies to locate, invest, and grow in the Greater MSP region. This is one of the most tangible ways we drive economic growth. And in 2021, we worked on more deals than at any other point in the last decade. The time is right to grow the companies and jobs that will keep our region on the leading edge. Our research and intelligence platform creates the data and insights we need to focus and prioritize. This includes nation-leading projects like the MSP Regional Indicators Dashboard, which tracks our region's economic performance and benchmarks us against 11 national peer regions. In the midst of COVID, research and intelligence partners developed the innovative MSP Recovery Hub to measure the pandemic's impact on our economy in real time. Research and intelligence is also the driver of our region's $100 million Build Back Better application to the U.S. Economic Development Administration and other exciting projects. Forge North accelerates startup growth and innovation across the region. This coalition of over 150 allies are working together to make our region the best place in the world to start ventures, solve problems, and scale impact. Together, startup founders, venture capitalists, corporate innovators, and community builders are forging a new north. Make It MSP brings many of the region's largest employers together with dozens of community partners to attract and retain professional talent. We've created a wealth of talent resources with special attention to retaining professionals of color in our region. In an effort to build the world's best workforce, we are also reimagining how careers are launched through a new initiative called Connext MSP. This initiative will ensure thousands more young adults of color from our region are hired into great jobs by employers in our region. Connext MSP brings leaders and organizations together to make systemic change and create networks of opportunity that drive inclusive economic growth. Minnesota is already an undisputed global leader in food and agriculture, and the Embold Coalition is keeping us at the forefront through innovation. We're working to accelerate practical solutions that will help feed 9 billion people and solve climate change. Together, big companies, startups, universities, and nonprofits are working toward solutions at the intersection of sustainability and innovation. The Regional Air Services Partnership draws on the leadership of corporate partners and the Metropolitan Airports Commission to expand access to domestic and global locations. In 2019, we secured new direct air service to Dublin, Seoul, and Mexico City. During the uncertain early months of COVID, this partnership kept airlines and corporate leaders connected. Now, we're working to restore flights suspended during 2020 and start adding new routes. Today, Greater MSP is viewed as one of our country's most active, most innovative, and most effective regional economic development partnerships. As we enter our second decade, we are working to scale our existing efforts for even greater impact, and we're pursuing new opportunities. We're confident that our collective leadership, diverse perspectives, and unwavering commitment to this region's future will build an even greater MSP region.
I'm proud of the nation-leading partnership we've built together, and I'm amazed at how much we've been able to accomplish. 100 projects in 2021 alone. This region has a bright future because of your commitment and creativity. Thank you.
As you heard, one of Greater MSP's most important functions is tracking our economy's performance and benchmarking it against our peer regions across the country. This has been no small task over the past couple of years. Thanks to dozens of partners who collect and analyze data, we're able to gain valuable insights that help us set priorities, assess progress, and hold each other accountable for results.
In the midst of all the changes over the past couple of years, leaders have had big questions about where the region stands now and where it's headed. Questions like, how is our region's economy performing as 2022 begins? Are we gaining momentum in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic? What are the big challenges and opportunities, and what should we do next? Our region's resilience was tested in the spring of 2020 when the emergence of COVID-19 led to a sharp decline in employment, and the murder of George Floyd led to a racial reckoning spanning the globe, shining a light on the region's systemic racial disparities. In response, Greater MSP rallied 20 regional partner organizations to create the MSP Regional Recovery Hub, a new data solution to track rapid change in the region's economy in real time. As we consider the future of our economy, we need to wrestle with big questions, some global and others closer to home. Questions like, how will disruptions to global supply chains affect new business location decisions? How will different segments of the workforce, including women, workers of color, lower income and lower educated workers, experience a return to employment differently? Will remote and hybrid work fundamentally change where we can live and when we travel? As a headquarters economy, how will the nature of headquarters change as business operations evolve to new ways of working? And finally, how will we use this time of disruption to meaningfully reduce carbon emissions and create a new climate economy in Minnesota? In this moment of momentous change, we're excited to accelerate dialogue with you and other regional leaders. Together, we can turn data into shared action and position the Greater MSP region to win in the new economy that's emerging. For more detailed metrics and insights into our regional performance before and during the pandemic, explore Greater MSP's regional indicators and recovery hub at greatermsp.org.
Even with all the changes we've experienced in this region and across the globe in the past 2 years, the most important areas of focus for our region remain the same: job growth, entrepreneurship, and racial equity. And here's the big idea. These priorities are interconnected. We'll accelerate job growth by becoming more racially equitable and accelerating entrepreneurship. We can make progress on racial equity when we connect communities of color with great jobs and wealth-building opportunities. What I'm describing is inclusive economic growth, the center of our region's vision and the core of Greater MSP's mission. This focus on inclusive economic growth is more important than it's ever been. The 2020 census shows our region grew by more than 350,000 new residents in the past decade, up nearly 11%, more than Boston, more than San Francisco. That's awesome. Nearly all of our growth is coming from communities of color. Our community is growing and becoming more diverse every year. That's one reason we're laser focused on making sure our economy is growing more inclusive. We will accelerate job growth by becoming more racially equitable and expanding entrepreneurship. We can make progress on racial equity when we connect communities of color with great jobs and wealth-building opportunities. That's inclusive economic growth. We're extremely fortunate to have two of our great leaders here to share their perspectives on why inclusive economic growth is the focus for Greater MSP in our region and what we can do together to make that reality. Let's welcome Ramsey County Commissioner Tony Carter and Mortenson CEO Dan Johnson.
Thank you, Tim. The North Star for Greater MSP and Ramsey County is inclusive economic growth. Last year, Ramsey County crafted a new economic development strategy focusing on inclusive economic growth, which is about unlocking access to economic growth and development for all who live in our region. Specifically, that means pathways to quality, affordable housing, reliable and affordable transportation options, access to capital to start and grow a business and build wealth, a chance to build new high-demand skills, and it's definitely about good-paying jobs with benefits. These are priorities for us in Ramsey County, and all are pillars of the regional economic development strategy that unites the work we do together in Greater MSP.
I agree, Commissioner Carter. My company, Mortensen Construction, and other corporations in our region need world-class talent to compete and win in the global economy. Inclusive economic growth is about investing in innovation, so we have fast growth startups and globally leading firms creating good jobs in the 21st century. And it's about doing far more than we have in the past to ensure communities of color get access to those careers. At Mortensen, we're getting creative. We have opened a factory in St. Paul that's going to prefabricate housing units that we can ship throughout the United States to create more affordable housing. We're reaching down to the high school level to attract and mentor students to enter the engineering and construction field. We're establishing participation goals for hiring minority and women-owned businesses on all of our projects, irrespective of customer requirements. And we're sponsoring women and people of color in our company to ensure that they have equal opportunity to advance into leadership positions in our industry. There's a new economy emerging out of the disruption of the past 2 years. Regions that find breakthrough approaches to combine economic development and community development will achieve inclusive economic growth, and they're going to lead America for the next generation. Greater MSP is committed to finding breakthroughs and moving Minneapolis-St. Paul to the front of the field.
Thank you, Dan and Commissioner Carter. Our vision for this region is to lead the world in inclusive economic growth, and we're definitely making progress. Together, we're shaping the future by taking action, solving big problems, and getting things done. Now it's time to celebrate what we all, as part of the Greater MSP Partnership, achieved together in 2021. This past year, 350 organizations came together to build and execute over 100 projects, ranging from jobs and investments to support for startups and talent recruitment. More than 550 regional leaders from multiple sectors participated in project teams. There isn't time to describe all the action and results, so here's a snapshot. We accelerated job growth coming out of the pandemic with 15 deal wins tied to $320 million in capital investments and more than 1,400 jobs with average salaries of over $50,000. Consultants tell us our region is winning at the national level because we can work quickly. Embold took on one of the most important issues facing the planet: adequate protein to feed a growing population. With the Embold Bold Open Reverse Pitch event, innovators were encouraged to offer their solutions to 10 protein-related challenges, ranging from beef production sustainability to finding ways to detect spoilage in protein products. Forge North connected entrepreneurs to resources for starting, scaling, investing in, or supporting a business in our region's leading sectors of food and ag health, and medicine and enterprise technology. Make It MSP hosted its annual Discover MSP event, which drew interns from more than a dozen of our member companies. Greater MSP's data and research team led development of our regional Build Back Better application, crafting a leading-edge proposal for a first-of-its-kind national competition to secure an up to $100 million federal grant for our region. When we got back on the road to tell the Minneapolis-St. Paul region story to British and Finnish companies as part of the governor's trade mission, we met with dozens of firms looking for a U.S. location, and we're expecting to share good news this year. At a time of change, a time when our region and its leaders need direction and action, the people at this event are stepping up and coming together to drive change. Watch for a summary of 21 results that made a difference to our region in 2021. As a journalist, my job is to communicate complex ideas with stories that connect. I have 3 stories to share with you that help reveal the impact and meaning of the work we do as part of Greater MSP. Our first story features SICK AG, a global manufacturer of sensors and sensor solutions for industrial applications. SICK has been part of the Minnesota business community since 1976 and was looking to expand. Let's learn how Greater MSP helped Bloomington beat out Houston to secure this win.
When we first heard that SICK AG was looking for a new North American headquarters, we thought the South Loop was the perfect spot for them.
This is such a great win for Minnesota. These jobs are great paying jobs. They're pandemic-proof jobs. They're long-term prospects for job seekers in Minnesota. A company like SICK is an innovative company. They make sensors that enable technologies to define really the next chapter of our economy. And we get to do that right here in Minnesota because we're partnering together across governments, working with Greater MSP and others to really tell the story and put dollars forward, real dollars forward that will help make this possible.
Bringing in this strong international company to Bloomington and to the Twin Cities is just such a great boon to the region on the world stage, especially as we look to establish Bloomington as the possible site for Expo 2027.
I think one of the secret weapons of Minnesota is the way we collaborate across governments and institutions. This is the kind of state that knows it's got to work a little bit harder to punch above its weight. It just makes that trust and that relationship all the deeper and helps us land really big, important deals like this one that frankly are going to define the future of the Minnesota economy right here in Bloomington.
One of the keys to making progress on racial equity is building wealth in communities of color. That's why one of this year's most exciting stories is the arrival of First Independence Bank. This Detroit-based financial institution is one of only 18 Black-owned full-service banks left in the country. In August, First Independence announced it would begin operations in the Greater MSP region, its first location outside Michigan. This story involves a lot of firsts, and we're excited to tell you more.
In a capitalistic society, banks are the oxygen for growth and development because banks represent beacons of hope. So our bank actually got started in 1970 out of the 1967 riots in Detroit, a police brutality situation very similar to what happened in the murder of George Floyd.
The idea of First Independence coming here to the Twin Cities, as far as I know, came through conversations with business leaders within the banking industry in partnership with Greater MSP.
And I want to give special credit to all of them. There was Tim Welch, who was at U.S. Bank, Lori Norquist at Wells Fargo, Katie Simpson at Bank of America. We had Gene Crane over at Bremer Bank, and Mike Jones, who was with TCF, which has now become Huntington. It took a lot of courage to say, we're going to do something very different, and I will challenge you that this is probably unprecedented in this country where you see 80% of the market decide we can do better than what we are doing and what we have done in the past. They came in and figured out what can we do to make a difference in the community in the Twin Cities.
You know, myself, being a 32-year resident of Minneapolis, South Minneapolis, these hurdles, these discrepancies that led to the murder of George Floyd, you know, I personally experienced those. And so I get excited because here's an ecosystem where you're really meeting people where they're at, where you're really mixing culture and capacity and powering the potential of others.
You know, we're dealing with right now a racial reckoning. But it's not just a racial reckoning. Underneath that is an economic reckoning. The bank is a symbol, a black bank is a symbol of we're serious as a community. We're serious about ending the racial gap in economics and income and wealth so that we can tackle as a platform for tackling all the other disparities that we see.
So I just want to say thank you to Greater MSP for their efforts so that we could get to this point to celebrate the opening of this branch here in Minneapolis.
Our final 2021 success story we're sharing today is about opening doors and providing pathways for success. In September, the Greater MSP Partnership launched Connects MSP, a talent network designed to advance racial equity and power economic growth in the region by ensuring young adults of color get their careers off to a good start. Let's hear from those who helped craft this important strategic initiative and one of the young adults who is part of the talent network.
Minneapolis-St. Paul has had long-term employment issues, and we have an enormous equity gap. At the same time, we put tens of thousands of young people through all sorts of high-performing organizations. The difference is now that we can connect them directly together with each other, with the people who hire at our companies, and hopefully it'll help us look at a workforce a few years from now that will reflect the diversity of the community and hopefully lead the nation in equity.
Connect MSP really helped me get into the professional workforce. I feel like nobody really teaches you about that, coming from immigrant parents, coming from a demographic that I come from. Connect MSP has helped me gain a network into getting my full-time career postgraduate for United Healthcare as a marketing operations specialist. And if I ever needed mentorship or peer advice, I could always go back and ask.
Yeah, what I love about this, when you think about Connect MSP, it is truly about a community of people coming together. It is businesses coming together. It is colleges and universities. It is people with diverse backgrounds of color to support young people in understanding their career aspirations. So it's not just one group, it's all groups coming together and really leaning in to help people to understand that if I don't have a pathway and I've never had anyone in my community that knows the pathway, we all have to do our part in showing the way.
Well, we spend a lot of time talking about helping people in need. That's fine, but the reality is we have talented people who deserve to be given an equitable step up. Not only do we have an access issue, but we also have a fairness issue. Employees of color earn less in this region than they should. And what Connects does is to recognize the incredible value of young people.
Yeah, the upside to this is tremendous, actually. I have always believed that we've probably left in our communities scientists, innovators, entrepreneurs behind. The risk is the cure to cancer or diseases or other things that we have faced in the past, that the answers are actually in some of our diverse communities. These programs are about those types of commitments where everyone leans in to do their part. That's the next step that the business community has to take. We make us all better together.
Many of us have been hungry for action and impatient for real change. And as Dushan said in 2021, we accomplished an all-time peak of action through the Greater MSP partnership, with even more ahead in 2022. So as we launch into a new year of action, we're excited to preview some big, bold, new projects with potential to deliver transformational change. For the last decade, we strive to help these companies grow by promoting greater procurement from smaller Minnesota businesses. And while this program's name, Business Bridge, may be familiar to you, our efforts will take a big step forward as Business Bridge 2.0. Let's take a look.
I'm privileged to be here today to announce an exciting new chapter in a 10-year story of creative collaboration driving economic growth. Business Bridge was established a decade ago when the Itasca Project and the procurement leaders at a number of Minnesota's largest companies recognized the benefit of setting targets for sourcing from their Minnesota suppliers. This combined effort and the collective power of 17 Minnesota-based corporations led to $3 billion of additional annual spending with Minnesota-based suppliers, mostly small and medium-sized business. This is an amazing result that exceeded our expectations, but Business Bridge is an impactful, little-known success story that shows how corporations can invest in the small and medium-sized businesses and help support job growth across the state and the region. Now fast forward to the last 2 years. You have supply chain disruptions mostly caused by the pandemic, which are causing companies to take a look at their global supply chains. It's caused many to focus more on redundant supply chains, closing gaps, and finding more options to source closer to home. Very importantly, all of us became focused and intentional about procuring from diverse suppliers as a means to increase the amount of family-sustaining jobs and advanced equity. It's been a priority for Target for years, and now we're doubling down. Target recently committed to spending more than $2 billion with Black-owned businesses across the country by 2025.
At the same time, our country was experiencing a racial reckoning. This put the spotlight on long-standing challenges in our state to Black and brown business success. Business owners of color need access to capital and procurement opportunities to grow and scale their businesses. They also need technical assistance to navigate the procurement process. These are challenges that MEDA is built to address. That's why we are excited to become a part of Business Bridge. The role of the big companies in this effort is clear: procure goods and services. MEDA's role in Business Bridge is to help large companies identify diverse suppliers, create more efficient matchmaking, and support the adoption and implementation of supplier diversity best practices. As a lead partner in Business Bridge, MEDA is helping our region seize the power of procurement to drive equity.
Those of us who have built and led this effort over the past decade see even more potential. That's why we're excited today to announce Business Bridge 2.0. To create the next generation of Business Bridge, we intend to double the number of participating companies and make procurement from BIPOC-owned small and medium-sized businesses a strategic focus. This is the right time to grow this successful project and address two critical needs in our economy right now: resiliency of regional supply chains and opportunity for diverse suppliers. Brad, Alfredo, and I are passionate about Business Bridge and its future, but we can't do this without lots of help. This begins with new resources that Greater MSP is bringing into the effort in the form of a federal grant that's focused on building our region's supply chain resiliency and diversity. In the weeks and months to come, we'll need engagement and leadership from additional partners, including corporate procurement executives, Chamber of Commerce, and organizations like MEDA, who work with BIPOC small and medium-sized businesses. If you're interested in learning more about Business Bridge and potentially getting involved, reach out to a Greater MSP Partnership staff member. Business Bridge is a proven project that's already working at a regional scale. Now we're ready to grow even bigger. We think we can become a national model for how corporate resiliency, small business growth, and racial equity advance in tandem. Business Bridge is a major way we will realize inclusive economic growth in our region in 2022 and beyond.
I'm very excited to celebrate this last story, and I think you will be too. We've just learned that our proposal to the Build Back Better federal program has been accepted. Let's hear more about what this funding for our health and wellness proposal means for our region.
You might have already heard the good news. Our Build Back Better proposal is moving to phase 2. In October of 2021, 529 applications from across the country were submitted to the U.S. Economic Development Administration's Build Back Better Regional Challenge. We learned in December that the proposal submitted by the Greater MSP Partnership was one of only 60 in the country and the only proposal from Minnesota to advance to the next stage of the competition. The Build Back Better Regional Challenge is a first-of-its-kind federal competition. Its intent is to catalyze the growth of high-potential industry clusters with major federal investment, funded with dollars from last year's American Rescue Plan Act. We beat the odds with an awesome coalition and a visionary proposal called the Bold North Bioinnovation Cluster. We selected bioinnovation as our sector of focus because it brings together our existing strengths in food, agriculture, and human health. Our vision is to create America's most inclusive bioinnovation cluster and the first economic sector in Minnesota designed with equity as a priority. As the president of the University of Minnesota, I'm also excited to say that the proposal submitted by the Greater MSP Partnership meaningfully involves partners from around the state, and that the entire state's economy stands to benefit if we win. Later this year, up to 30 U.S. regions will be awarded between $25 and $100 million to implement projects designed to build and scale industry clusters that create transformational economic change. This is a perfect example of what Greater MSP is all about. Greater MSP was created so leaders and organizations from all across our metro could come together, compete as one team, and win together. The University of Minnesota is excited to be a partner in the Build Back Better Challenge and proud to be working as part of a big and growing coalition.
Our bioinnovation proposal is truly a bold move to keep our region and state at the forefront of innovation and economic growth. McKinsey Global Institute estimates the bioeconomy will be worth over $4 trillion globally in the coming decades. Over 40 official letters of support from organizations across our region and state were included in our Phase 1 application, including one from General Mills. This federal challenge can be a spark we need to invest in the development of a new generation of bioworkers across the skill spectrum, from PhDs to technicians. This is the workforce of the future my company and many others need to grow, innovate, and compete. So what's next? Right now, dozens of leaders and organizations are hard at work preparing our region's final proposal. If you're interested in being in the loop and possibly getting involved in contributing commitments from your organization, please reach out to the Greater MSP Partnership staff directly. When the Build Back Better Challenge went live last summer, Greater MSP was ready and jumped at the opportunity. We mobilized this partnership to create one of the nation's most competitive proposals. And now, we're going to finish the race strong. This is a once-in-a-generation chance to transform our region's economy and build an inclusive economy. Let's go win this.
Well, thank you, Tanya. Thanks, Tim and Deshawn, for guiding us through 2021 and the Greater MSP Partnership and getting us excited about the big things that we're going to do together in the year ahead. As we wrap up, I have a couple questions for all of you. First, what are you celebrating about our region today? And second, what inspires you most about the Greater MSP opportunities we have this year? So, Deshawn, maybe we'll start with you.
Sure, yeah. I'm excited by the fact that more people seem to be called this work. I mean, Tanya's a great example of it, right? Someone who chose to make a life here and contribute her talent here. I can think of other leaders who are stepping up and trying to be part of the solutions that we need to make this a healthier place for all of us. And I'm celebrating, just the fact that we have so many strengths to work from, and I think we're more aware of what's possible collectively.
Yeah, I mean, people are stepping into the space, the momentum's building, and I see the interconnections. And people are asking the question of how does my work and your work come together? Tim, what are you thinking?
I think celebrating the same thing that Deshawn is, which is huge amount of collaboration. If you had said 10 years ago that we would have 100 different projects working with 350 different organizations, that's just astounding, right? I would never have believed that. And that we could launch these incredibly exciting initiatives together, almost unimaginable 10 years ago. So huge cause of celebration. And I got to tell you, what gets me inspired about this is every morning we have leaders across this community who are waking up saying, we're going to create the world's most inclusive economy, right? We're going to create an economy where every single person, no matter what their background, has a chance to thrive, to achieve their full potential. I tell you, that gets me up in the morning and it gets me pretty energized.
Yeah, I mean, there's no place in America, no region, no economy that's working the way it needs to, right? And so the eyes are on us, and so we're going to step up and we're going to create the next thing. Tanya, want to take us home?
Yeah, well, as a new leader in the region, I think I'm most inspired by how our solution making is crafted by really diverse sets of leaders in all kinds of industries, covering all kinds of fields, that are covering different lived experiences. And I really believe that that is what is necessary to make the solutions durable. So I think this is about durable change, and we're right in the midst of it. And what I'm inspired by is that we all know, and none of us has shied away from the fact that we, unfortunately, was the epicenter of racial injustice. And we are trying to change that narrative. I'm inspired to become the epicenter of racial opportunity. And that's what I'm just motivated to keep going to work every single day.
That's awesome. Well, we're so excited to have you in the region, and we need your leadership. And that call for durable change is spot on. Thanks to each of you and to every one of the leaders participating today. Of all the informative and inspiring things shared, I hope you clearly heard the message about how important you and your organization are to the past, present, and future of Greater MSP and this region. The successes we're celebrating from 2021 are your successes. It's your leadership that's shaping bold new solutions. And together, we are taking action and driving meaningful change for our region. In the coming weeks, we will send you special information in the Greater MSP newsletter to connect you with opportunities to dive deeper into the initiatives and projects we covered. I'd love for you to share this information with others in your organization and across your networks. Greater MSP is growing, and we will need more leaders and investors to keep the momentum going in 2022. So thanks for sharing this time with us today. We look forward to celebrating Greater MSP's 10th anniversary with you soon in person. Until then, have a great day.